Alrighty. So when we think of our brain, our mind, there's a nerve that goes down into our gut. So with the breath, take a few moments to ensure that your breath is going as deep as it can past your heart. Any blockages that you may have in regards to making a decision with certain things, or your memory, and realizing that your memory may not be as sharp as it used to. Tapping to your breath, giving thanks for how sharp your brain is, but you do remember, taking you back to your childhood.
Monday.com, the opposite of any work platform we tried in the past. We tried other work management platforms, not naming names. They all suck. Monday, total opposite. Didn't just work, it spread. And people became Monday.
We do not own the rights to this video, so excuse the commercial. We have distractions in life. And so in what ways can we bring ourselves back to a place of calm, a place of holding our energy, holding our peace, holding our joy, give grace to ourselves. In what ways can we appreciate ourselves more? In what ways have we been discouraged and had to encourage ourselves? In what ways can we even study our brain more? In what ways can we even eat more foods that assist the health of our brain? In what ways can we cleanse our gut to help the health of our brain? In what ways can we be honest about our experience and let the story go and create a new story?
When we touch here, maybe just try this later.
Allow yourself to continue tapping into your breath. In 2 more minutes, bringing yourself to a place of awareness. awareness of ways that you can be more mindful? Is it vitamins? Is it controlling your environment and the people that you are around? Is it being in nature more? As you look at the image, visualize that being all the cells that are in your body listening to your daily talk. Listening to your environment. Taking in the beverages and the foods, even the material of your clothes. What fragrances are you inhaling that may trigger something in your brain, a memory, a feeling, or that sound that you may hear, or that taste on your taste buds of what you may be eating or last ate, or what you're looking forward to eating and consuming later on today. What is it that your eyes are seeing, whether it is your third eye with your eyes closed or your physical eye? And with your fingertips and your toes and the palm of your hand and the soles of your feet, how does that feel or react, those nerves and those parts of your brain and cells in your body? Bringing yourself back into the space. You may take a swallow of the saliva, licking your lips, or drinking a glass of water, wiggling your toes, your hands, your feet, ankles, whatever that may be, rotating your head, turning your head left or right, or up or down, whatever your body is telling you to do in this moment. To bring you to a place of awareness. Okay, bringing us back into the space. Take a couple of deep breaths. All right. I'm going to share this presentation about mindful mental health and just have a conversation today. All right. So, Mental Health Awareness Day is October 10th, but I feel it should be every day. But according to the organization that has created this day, it is a day that it is a collective awareness in people's jobs. It should be one that is of awareness and one that allows people to maybe take that mental health day off. Um, there are some mental health disorders or diseases that are considered to be the top ones. So I want to discuss that. And then I also want to share different herbs, foods. As we've talked before about crystals, there are different crystals that we've talked about and share, which you can catch the replay on YouTube on the Good Life's YouTube channel. But today we're going to again talk about some of this stuff because this is something that a lot of people didn't talk about growing up. I know that it was considered to be taboo or something that wasn't of a discussion. And so I want to talk about it. There's different types of mental health. As we see here, one of the top ones most recently has become anxiety. Again, it's responding to certain objects or situations with fear and dread. And sometimes there's physical signs of it, which is a rapid heartbeat. It could be sweating. Again, it is a diagnosis if the person's response is not appropriate for the situation, or if the person cannot control their response, or if the anxiety interferes with normal functioning. Again, that can be generalized anxiety, panic disorder, social anxiety, or specific phobias. Again, some people cannot function when they're in society or social atmospheres with a lot of people. Some people may have specific phobias. I've seen people with spiders as a phobia, birds, pigeons as a phobia, and so some of these are actual phobias and disorders that is labeled as to the according to the mental health department. And so then there's also mood disorders. These disorders are also affective disorders, involve persistent feelings of sadness and periods of feeling overly happy or fluctuations from extreme happiness to extreme sadness. The most common disorders are depression, bipolar disorder, and psychothymic disorder. Okay. Then there's psychotic disorders. These psychotic disorders involve distorted awareness and thinking. Two of the most common symptoms of these psychotic disorders are hallucinations, which are the experience of images or sounds that are not real, such as hearing voices, and delusions, which are false fixed beliefs that the ill person accepts as true despite evidence to the contrary. The other example is the schizophrenia, which is another psychotic disorder. Then you have personality disorders. It looks like this one is the same. I'll go back because I'll find that one. It looks like it copied. Then you have the impulse control addiction disorders. People with impulse control disorders are unable to resist urges or impulses to perform acts that can be harmful to themselves. Then you have pyromania, starting fires, kleptomania, which is stealing, compulsive gambling are examples of impulsive control disorders. Alcohol and drugs are also common objects of addictions. Often people with these disorders can become involved with objects of their addiction that they begin to ignore responsibilities and relationships. So again, that's the impulsive control and addiction disorders. And then you have eating disorders. Eating disorders involve extreme emotions, attitudes, and behaviors involving weight and food. Anorexia nerviosa and bulimia nerviosa and the binge eating disorder are the most common eating disorders. Then you have OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder. People with OCD are plagued by constant thoughts or fears that cause them to perform certain rituals or routines. The disturbing thoughts are called obsessions, and the rituals are called compulsions. An example is a person with an unreasonable fear of germs who constantly washes their hands or constantly wiping down things. Or things have to be lined up a certain particular way with OCD. That's also a thing with OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder. And then you have post-traumatic stress disorder. They also have chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. It is a condition that can develop following a traumatic or terrifying event, such as sexual or physical assault, the unexpected death of a loved one, or a natural disaster. Many people that were in the military and went to war may also deal with this as well. People with PTSD often have lasting and frightening thoughts and memories of the event and tend to be emotionally numb. Then you have dissociative disorders. People with these disorders suffer severe disturbances and changes in the memory, consciousness, identity, and general awareness of themselves and their surroundings. These disorders usually are associated with the overwhelming stress, which may be a result of traumatic events, accidents, or disorders that may be experienced or witnessed by the individual. Dissociative identity disorder, formerly called multiple personality disorder or split personality, or and depersonalization disorder are examples of this dissociative disorder. Stress response syndromes, formerly called adjustment disorders. Stress response syndromes occur when a person develops emotional and behavioral systems response to a stressful event or situations. And the stressors may include natural disasters such as an earthquake or tornadoes, events or crises such as a car accident or the diagnosis of a major illness, or interpersonal problems such as a divorce, death of a loved one, loss of a job, or a problem with substance abuse. Stress response syndromes usually begin within 3 months of an event or situation and ends within 6 months after the stressor stops or is eliminated. Then you have fictitious disorders. Fictitious disorders are conditions in which a person knowingly and unintentionally creates or complains of physical and or emotional symptoms in order to place the individual in a role of a patient or a person in need of help. Then you have sexual and gender disorders. This includes disorders that affect sexual desire, performance, and behavior, sexual dysfunction, gender identity disorder, and the paraphilias are examples of sexual and gender disorders. And then you have the somatic symptom disorders. A person with a somatic disemptive disorder, formerly known as psychosomatic disorder or somatoform disorder, experiences physical symptoms of an illness or of pain with an excessive and disproportionate level of distress, regardless of whether or not a doctor can find a medical cause for the symptoms. Then you have tic disorders. That is known as Tourette's. One of them is an example of a tic disorder. People with tic disorders make sounds or display non-purposeful body movements that are repeated, quick, sudden, and or uncontrollable. Sounds that are made involuntarily are called vocal tics. And so some of these are the ways, some of these are the types of mental health. And I do want to go back to the one that was the personality disorder, but I believe it was also identified there. So I do want to have a conversation because again, this was something that at one point we couldn't talk about. It was taboo to talk about. There's an actor that recently came out that spoke about or is speaking about his mother. His name is kind of evading me right now, but he's been in a lot of Tyler Perry plays. He's also written a book, and he's currently in a couple of Tyler Perry's television show. And he talks about his daughter who had a mental disorder, and she was also handicapped, but she was being raped by a family member, and she was pregnant at the age of 11, but they thought that it was her health, physical health, and her mental health that was the cause of her, eating differently or behaving differently or even showing signs of pregnancy. And so he speaks up for her in a way to tell her story because she was not able to tell her story. She did not speak. And so, in that, I think of the many people that may have grown up with parents or family members who had some form of mental health disorder, or, even with the capacity of us as a whole collective, many of us are dealing with some form of mental health. And those are just the main types that were listed, but there's other things that people may be dealing with that they may not recognize that they're dealing with. And so, I love to hear and have a discussion about it, but I also do want to share some of the herbs, some of the things that can help with the mental health aspect. Again, I am not a doctor. However, these are coming from credible sites, WMD webmd.com is one of the sites. And again, you can go into your fullness of your research if you decide to go into a full research. But personality disorders, they are people who have extreme and inflexible personality traits that are distressing to the person and or causing problems in work, school, and social relationships. In addition to the person's pattern of thinking and behavior significantly differing from the expectations of society, they can also be rigid that they interfere with the person's normal functioning. Examples of personality disorder is antisocial personality disorder, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, schizoid personality disorder, and paranoid personality disorder. Now, some of the foods that are considered to be supportive to the brain, these come from Good Housekeeping. I believe I might have shared these before, but you have salmon that is good because it has the fatty fish that has the vitamin D. Many people and majority of us are short in our vitamin D. We're a bit deficient in the vitamin D. I can go into all of the politics behind that of the spraying, the chemicals in the sky, covering the sun, and people not going out in the sun. But salmon also gives the serotonin and the dopamine that is needed to do the transmitters that are in the brain. Then you have pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are good in your yogurt. You could have a handful midday, sprinkle on your salads. Pumpkin seeds are also good for detoxing. They're known to be good for metal detoxing as well. Metals in the body are one of the things that is connected to some of the mental disorders, ADHD they're finding, and autism. When they're doing metal detox, they are finding that the brain of the child, they're starting to talk more, they're being more active. And so that is one of the things that I will also recommend is a metal detox. Walnuts are also good for a detox. Black walnuts are also a good tea to have. You can drop a handful of walnuts in your salad. If you even look at the shape of a walnut, it is like the brain, kind of looks like the brain, the right and left hemisphere of the brain. It also gives zinc and vitamin D. Then you also have bananas, vitamin C, vitamin B6, potassium, magnesium. A lot of people are vitamin C deficient and B6 or B vitamin deficient as well. Those actually can help with your cognitive impairment and help with with depression. One a day, again, can give you a good, healthy to-go snack. Some people that eat eggs, they say that the eggs give you the vitamin Bs as well as iron. It can also lower the risk of depression for those that eat eggs. Avocados, again, are good. They can help with depression, low magnesium. People with low magnesium or high stress levels, again, avocados would be good. Yogurt, I'm more of a coconut yogurt person. Some people do Greek yogurt. I don't really do milk, but Greek Greek yogurt is one that is recommended for gut health and bacteria. Probiotics are also good. Leafy greens, chicken, for those that eat chicken, it gives vitamin Bs and iron. And it also can help with depression when you combine it with chickpeas or leafy green salad. The chickpeas give the vitamin Bs. Again, magnesium is also good. And in regards to herbs for the mental health, you have different herbs for the mental health that is very good to take. Yes, Gina, post-traumatic slave disorder, there is a lot of that. That is one of them as well. And so I'm glad you brought that up because there's so much to that topic. And I, look forward to going deeper into that topic of what that has done and how that has affected many of us on various levels because it's in our DNA, it's in the bloodstream. However, this awareness and the age of the internet and being able to do research and study ourselves and the museums that stuff is being taken out of to shift the story of what has truly happened. It's truly happening. There's things that's truly happening. And if we look back, that story of and that experience, the 60s were not that long ago. That was about, wasn't that long ago. The 40s weren't that long ago. I have an uncle that is turning 90 in December. It wasn't that long ago, and a lot of the things that I heard them endure, whether it was rocks being thrown at them, all of those things have an effect on the brain. But thankfully, he does have a sharp memory, but I do notice that it is declining because he is not able to move as much. But it's also the stories that he's told, but he's also one that is very in tune with his spirit and really practices that. So I definitely, and he moves, he still tries to cut his own grass and gets on his lawnmower. So I commend him to be 90 years old, still moving at that capacity and still have the faculties of his brain. So some of the herbs for mental health and emotional support, you have St. John's wort, St. John's wort. And I'll share the screen and the site that I'm looking at to share with you all. Again, I am not affiliated with this site. I just found it to be very supportive in the research and studying and doing all the things. But it is one that eases mild depression and mild to moderate depression. It can reduce anxiety, improve sleep. You have ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is good in reducing cortisol levels. Cortisol levels is a hormone that is released in response to stress. Again, that can affect and also eat at the bones of the body. I was recently reading that about cortisol levels affecting the hips. But ashwagandha is very good. Also passion flower. Yes, I will put yes, Dr. Joyce is amazing. Joyce DeGrew, yes. And for those that are not on the live and able to come to the chat, the link that I'm looking at is Herbs and Owls, herbsandowls.com. It is specific, says herbal medicine blog, herbs for mental and emotional health. Okay. Again, that is Herbs and Owls. I am not affiliated or associated with this website, so anything else I am not responsible for. But again, this site has been beneficial for me. The other herb is passion flower. They have beautiful passion flower teas that you can buy. It helps with anxiety and sleep. Chamomile is known to be one. It's also considered to be a bitter herb. Bitter herbs, most people do not like bitter herbs, but they can definitely help stimulate the digestive system. Again, the digestive system is important because you have the nerve that goes all the way down into the gut, the vagus nerve, and it's also associated with the parasympathetic nervous system. You also have kava. Kava is a good herb to take. It is helping with panic attacks and depression. You have lavender. Lavender is also considered to be a good herb. That one is for anxiety and also can help sleep. Motherwort. Motherwort is good to help anxiety and ease depression symptoms, improve sleep, and enhance cognitive function. You have linden. Linden is another one that can help reduce stress and anxiety. And then the Chinese medicine, the mimosa tree, I will pull up a picture. It's a very beautiful tree. It can soothe the spirit and promote emotional well-being. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tree, but it has also the flavonoids and the alkaloids that are needed for the body as well, and it helps regulate the mood and anxiety. Other supplements, magnesium and omega-3s, that can also help as well, okay? And let me pull up the picture. Yes, Dr. Joyce is amazing. She has a lot of stuff on YouTube that really talks to post-traumatic slave disorder and how it affects our mental health. So if you want to research more about her, I will also pull up her face so that you can see who I am referring to. The other thing that can help with your mental health is games for the brain. There are many games out there for the brain, coloring, puzzles, things of those nature can also help with the brain and doing those things. It's really, really imperative to kind of keep things going. Some people play cards, some people play dominoes, some people play other different things that assist with the brain. And so I definitely recommend those things. They have a whole website called Games for the Brain. They have brainplay.com, which has Sudoku, word search. Those are good. Chess puzzles, crosswords. Those are very, very good for solitaire for some people, are good for the brain. And so here's a picture of the mimosa tree. I definitely want to share that. And then I will share. So this is what the mimosa tree looks like. So you may see it in your neighborhood. You may have seen it walking, but it's a very beautiful, beautiful tree. It has these little leaves here as well, and they bloom in the summer. Most of the time you see them in the summer. Ms. Inez, I am amazed at the numerous types of mental health and can honestly acknowledge that I have suffered from stress response and did not realize it was related to mental health. Greetings, Mickey. Greetings, Ijanla. I'm a big advocate for natural healing. My only advice is to research the herbs you're interested in to see. Yes, thank you for the disclaimer, because I was going to say that, to see if they interact with any medication that you are already taking, and check your blood labs either independently or request your medical provider to do so, to keep an eye on your liver and kidneys and everything else. Thank you so much for that disclaimer. I'm definitely grateful for that share, because that is something that I definitely put in here, because again, I am not a doctor or a physician, but luckily we do have a nurse that is in the building. And let me bring up Dr. Joyce, so those that may not be familiar with her work. And then I want to kind of have a discussion. If you have dealt with mental health, if you're realizing that, you are, as one of the participants just shared, the stress related health, in what ways have you dealt with that? In what ways are you dealing with it? What are your go-tos to help you through it? What you may be dealing with. Is it your community? Your support system? Is it talking about it? Being around people who understand you and who are present and hold space for you? There's so many different ways that we can address it. Sound is another way. Sound frequencies. A lot of people are doing float. There's float baths. Again, you want to even check with that, because there's the amount of salt that you are floating in. Spa days, being in nature. And then even when it comes to mental health, in some traditions like the Dogon, the Water of Water and Spirit is a book that you can read, that it talks about mental health and how that was seen as a spiritual gift. And so sometimes we have to look at things as not as being a disorder necessarily, but also something that, with the neurodivergent being a topic, is a thing in this present moment. That is something that they're saying are giving us the view to look at things in a different perspective, to not judge, to see that some people are functioning differently, but also realizing the type of food and the artificial food, and how many things have you picked up that has natural flavoring. And then you have television and radio and all of the things that were not interfering. You have cell phone towers. You have all of these different things that have an effect, although we sweep it under the rug for convenience and say that it doesn't. It truly does. And so in these times, we have to protect ourselves more and more and be more mindful about our mental health and our capacity. If that is removing ourselves from particular spaces and people and things, but not isolating ourselves, but allowing ourselves to find the right communities that can support us. Because again, isolation again can be a form of disconnecting versus disassociation. I love that Gina shared that therapy, staying active, walking, gardening, laughing, and seeking joy, connecting with nature was shared by Miss Inez. These are actual beautiful tools that can be utilized. When I look at my own family members and I look at where mental health has come up, there was physical abuse, there was addiction, there were a lot of different things that affected the children growing up because the brain is very impressionable. The trauma of losing a parent at an early age, as was shown as being one of the things that was connected to mental health. So we have to have these honest conversations with ourselves and also do the work, because we can keep having the story, oh, so and so my mother had schizophrenia or bipolar, or this is why I'm that way. Utilizing these tools again can help bring a different perspective. And so I definitely want to share, as I said I would, um, Dr. Joy DeGruy she has a very, very beautiful, beautiful website. It tells you all about her, where she comes from. She's been in clinical psychology for quite some time, and her studies are extensive. If I'm not mistaken, she does offer particular online courses, and she does talk about, again, post-traumatic slave syndrome. You have a lot going on with the Jim Crow era. You also have Decolonize Your Mind. That is a book which I can pull up as well, but there are published works that she has that is out there that you can read into. Again, workshops, online courses, things of that nature, healing workshops. So these are all tools and options that you have to assist you in what you may be needing help, or can refer someone, or even if you're one that is a student and likes to study and, as I say, go down the rabbit hole and go deep into gaining understanding of how these things have an effect on us. I do want to pull up Decolonizing Your Mind. And then there's also another book. There's Decolonization of the Mind. And then there's another one of another woman that recently was released. Let me see if I can find that one. But that one is Colonizing the Mind is, let me pull that up. There's various ones, but there's also a book in regards to napping and sleeping. If someone has seen that book, please share, because I'm having a brain fart on that book. But this is one of them. And then let me see if I can find these. Another book that is good, The Spirit of Intimacy is a good one, and Malidoma Some. So I'll pull up this one, Of Water and Spirit, so that you can, for those that like to read. There's two of them that you can see here. But this is the book here, Of Water and Spirit. Again, it talks about mental health in this book, and that's in a different language. So we're going to go here. Again, Malidoma Patrice Somé, and then The Spirit of Intimacy. That is in regards to relationships. And the reason why I'm bringing that one up is because sometimes in our relationships with other people, we may not be realizing that they're dealing with one of the type of mental health, and even those that may not have been shared. But again, those are some of the things that can help. Rest is resistance. Thank you, Ijanla, because I couldn't think of that one. It wasn't coming to me. And so that is also one of the books by Tricia Hersey, the founder of NAP Ministry. NAP Ministry, again, and it is capitalism and how things can affect, again, our minds and affect us in our relationships. Very good book. Recently read it. I'm not too sure. And then if you have a book recommendation that you have read, again, I'm open to sharing and having this conversation, especially hearing from the elders that are on here, because again, this conversation, a lot of times when I speak with elders, they have so much to share. The Four Agreements, yes, The Four Agreements is a beautiful book. Tapping the Power Within, I believe the Tapping the Power Within also deals with EFT. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, very short and simple. There are also cards that you can pull with, I believe, resistance. Rest is resistance. The rest deck. Thank you for sharing that. And so you have this 50 practices to resist the grind culture. So if you are on the grind, you know, this can be something that you pull a card a day to inspire yourself. Those are all good. I love Oracle cards because, again, they are some beautiful ways to assist us. One of the other books that I love that can help also with mental health, or has helped me in my spiritual growth, is The Inner Child. Yes, I started to use those. But yes, these cards definitely tap into that aspect. And then the book Untethered Soul. This is another book that can help in aspects of figuring out who you are, where you are mentally, because again, sometimes we go through life not knowing where we are, where we're going, where we're heading next, and that can cause the anxiety of thinking about the future, or not feeling like we have the support. But all of these different aspects. Journaling is definitely one of the ways that you can also help declutter your mind. I really love that as well. It's definitely needed in these times. It's so much that's going on in the world. And so I definitely speak to that. There's an audible book, Declutter Your Mind, How to Stop Worrying, Relieve Anxiety, Eliminate Thinking. And there's one more book that I want to find by a beautiful soul. I think it's called Embracing, and I'll pull her up as well. But if there's anyone that would like to share, unmute, raise your hand. And I believe it's Embody Truth Healing. One of the things that I will also speak to is embodying the self-love. We talked about the topic of loving self and what does that show up with? How does that show up? A lot of the times we don't even take the time to feel where our body is. A lot of times if a person says, how do you feel? We go straight to an emotion versus, okay, I feel it in my chest. There's been times where you may have heard somebody say something and you feel it in a part of your body. But it's definitely something that I found it. It's called Body Rights. And this is also a book that you can also look into. Body Keeps the Score is a very good book for those that may have dealt with some form of sexual trauma, or their mothers may have, or grandmothers may have. This is a book that can also help. as well, because again, as was shared in the types of mental health, that was one of the things that was discussed. So I want to continue to give. Miss Benton.
I don't know if I saw anything about grieving. When a person passes away, I was thinking about my daughter. Her son, is dead, and she needs to go to some type of, is it grieving, or do they have anything like that?
Yeah, I do have a book. Let me pull that one up. It is one that is called the Grief Recovery, but there's another one that I recently got that can assist with grief as well.
Okay.
And I'll pull that one up. Give me 1 second. And if there's other books, I know that The Body Keeps the Score is a good one. Take a media free day. I love that, Miss Gina. Taking a media free day is a good thing, especially with social media. Getting off social media for a day, no TV for a day, things of that nature. We did have a guest that came and spoke about grief, and so I'm pulling up their information because they do have a book and a workbook, and they also have different things like sound. So I definitely want to share her information. And thank you for bringing that to the forefront. All right. And that website is the Medicine Woman, and that's with a B, womb, like WOMB, MAN.com. She's a grief doula, but there are books that she does have available called A Walk with Grief. It is a digital copy that you can also gift to someone. And I believe it's a PDF file, but if you want to reach out to her, she may have a physical hard copy. Okay. So this is a beautiful book that, again, she was a previous guest on Mindful Mondays. Shamanika Boykins also goes as Shanga. And so there's definitely some things that she shares and other books and visions. So, but this is a very good book. Again, it does have a lot of different things to help you. It's an interactive self-care guide to help you process the grief. And
Oh,
again,
wow.
different forms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I can't get her to go to a counselor yet, so maybe this will help. She can do it like this.
Yeah, let me go ahead and put this in the chat for anybody that may be interested. Again, it's the medicinewoman.com, and you just go to shop and it will show the book. That is a PDF file. And then you can also, if you look at where it asks for the email address, you could put the person's email address instead of yours, and they will get the book in their email address.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. And so, yes, I definitely recommend. I will also put the website for Dr. Joy if you are looking forward to doing more research or even seeing some of the things that Dr. Joy shares. I'm really extremely grateful for this conversation, those that have shared in the chat different things and different ways to deal with mental health, because again, it's not a conversation that we talk about often. Grief is not a conversation that we talk about often. And so I'm definitely grateful for this space. I'm grateful for the shares. I acknowledge you all that I see. Miss Gina, Miss Sedalia, Miss Tamiko, Miss Gail, Miss Tanya, Miss Mary, Miss Queen, Miss Shalia, Miss Carolyn, Miss Shirley, Miss Inez, Miss J Muse, Miss Emily, Miss Latanya, Miss Clovetta, Miss Deborah, Miss Samaj, Miss Rita, Miss Gina Brown, Miss Anisha, Miss High Phone, Miss High iPhone, I don't know who you are. Miss Dolores, Miss Paula. I really, really, take this information to heart because again, mental health is very imperative. Again, I didn't share much about metal detox, but cilantro is a good metal detoxer. So if you do cilantro juice, black walnut, burdock root, activated charcoal is a binder. Bentonite clay is a binder if you do detoxes. So definitely do your research. Definitely check with your physician if you're on particular medications so that it does not affect anything. Because again, I'm not too sure what meds you are on individually or within yourself and what your diet is. I am not a doctor. However, I wanted to share this information because again, it may ignite something in you to dive deeper, to become more mindful of for yourself, and also to help those loved ones that you may see that may be dealing with mental health. One thing that I will definitely say is that when you are dealing with people that you come in contact with, whether it is on the street and driving, whether it is at work, whether it is in your family, whether it is your own self, a person that you're dating, keep these things in mind and have compassion or empathy or comprehension of what could possibly be going on. It doesn't mean you take that on as your responsibility to try to fix. However, the way that you react and respond and interact with one another when we come out into the world and step out into the real world, which for me is the first step off of my bed, because that information with myself, that dialogue with myself can depict the rest of my day. So I encourage you and I implore you to start the day off with some type of mental health activity, whether it is connecting with your breath, whether it is starting your day with a prayer before your feet even hits the ground, with gratitude for the activities of your limbs, the organs that are active, the unseen breath, the unseen water flowing through your body, the unseen parts of you that are actually still operating. To start your day off with that gratitude and to also give yourself the grace and the ease as you go into your day could be the first steps to having a good mental health practice. And then drinking something warm to get your body started. Whatever that is, I definitely implore you to be mindful and set a self care regimen that tends to bring peace, ease of mind, freedom from anxiety, joy, happiness, and love. May this information follow you throughout this week and throughout this month and throughout the duration of your life, this year, whatever it may be. Again, thank you for joining Mindful Mondays with Iya Kemi, The Good Life, and the City of Oakland and UC Davis. You all have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday where we will talk about breast cancer awareness. Take care. Thank you all. Have a great week. Thank you.